Due to the obscene and ridiculous nature of this podcast, listener discretion is strongly advised.
You just applied for a job at your favorite multinational corporation, but what's this? They require you to take and pass a drug test before they'll hire you? They test your urine for any trace of drugs which you may have recently ingested? Does this situation sound familiar to you? Hi, I'm me, and I'm here to tell you about an incredible new product from Vital Elements that will help you pass any drug test, even if you smoke heroin and PCP while taking the test, even if you take a huge wet hit off your crack pipe and blow the resultant smoke into the test proctor's ugly face. You'll still pass the test and get the job thanks to the brand new powdered urine that Vital Elements has invented and perfected. The urine scientists at Vital Elements have spent years concocting this special powdered blend. I'm not allowed to tell you exactly what's in it, but I can say that the main ingredient is powdered semen. I'll never tell you which animal it's from though. I'll never let you know what kind of penis it comes out of before being dried and ground into a fine, delicious powder. I'm writing this ad while on an airplane, and an old woman is sitting right next to me, and she keeps looking over at my computer, and I think she's reading what I've written, and I'm scared she's going to tell the flight crew. There'll be an air marshal waiting for me when I land. I hope that doesn't happen, but it could. Writing this stuff while seated next to an old woman is extremely illegal. Anyway, it's too late to worry about that now. I'll just keep talking. Vital Elements powdered urine drug test passing powder is so simple to use. All you have to do is snort a huge line of it about 10 minutes before you spray your urination into a cup or bag or whatever they make you use these days. The last drug test I took had me peeing straight into the guy's mouth. I didn't get the job, but I had fun at the testing center. So yeah, you snort a line of the powder about 10 minutes before you fill the cup, and then once you've peed into the cup, pour a little bit of the powder in and stir it around with your finger, and then suck your own urine off your finger, and then hand the testing guard the cup. This stuff is 100% guaranteed to hide all drugs, sexually transmitted infections, and other urine-borne pathogens from even the most sophisticated testing equipment. So run, don't walk to the store, and get yourself a sachet of the new Vital Elements powdered urine drug test passing powder today.
Secret Society of Fly Tires. Wow.
Secret Society of Fly Tigers? What in the fuck is that?
I'm sick of this phony baloney.
Secret Society of Fly Tires, the Secret Society of Fly Tires podcast, the best podcast about fly tying.
I told you the official theme of this season is that it's going to be the sexiest season yet. And my guest for episode 43 brings along two signature patterns that fit nicely into that theme. The Dirk Wiggler.
Jack says you got a great big cock.
Well, I don't know. I guess so.
May I see it?
And the Deuce Wiggalo. One of those is a parody about a porn star Mark Wahlberg played in the movie Boogie Nights, and the other is a parody of a male gigolo from a Rob Schneider movie.
I'm Deuce Bigelow. I'm a gigolo from America.
You're supposed to catch steelhead with them, and they obviously work. If you're familiar with those patterns, and you probably are, then you already know who my guest is. It's the one and only Jon Hazlett, or John Bon Jovi if you call him by the handle that he used in our Zoom interview. I feel like my fly fishing journey is coming full circle.
So tough.
I told Jon during the interview that you'll hear if you endure yet another absurd monologue, and I'll tell you right now that his YouTube videos on different spay casts were a big reason why I felt like I could give two-handed casting a shot myself. He's a seasoned pro, and already was back when I originally watched those videos like a decade ago. Similar to the way the tying videos that my buddy Jim Sens posts, Jon's way of explaining things just makes sense for me. Plus, he never seemed like he was taking things too seriously. which is very important to me if you pay attention to the nonsense I share with the world here on the Secret Society of Fly Tires podcast.
Don't worry, Mark, nobody does.
Whether it's John throwing an image of a hot dog into the sky to help better explain how your line should move through the air on a snake roll cast, or one of his fake commercials shoehorned into a casting tutorial, which you know by now is a soft spot for me, it all added up to a guy I wanted to have on the show.
If your rod is over the hill, you need Launch, the #1 selling male ferrule enhancement. Launch is a unique rod boosting formula powered by Huckafin, a patented ingredient clinically researched to boost graphite modulus and energize the male ferrule. Just apply a few drops to the male ferrule and get ready to launch.
I'm pumped he agreed to waste some time with me on Zoom, but we'll get to all that. I have a monologue to deliver first. And since I'm already on the subject of fake commercials, I'm getting even more joy out of the Vital Elements commercials than just the usual reasons. With these latest batch of commercials, I'm starting to be able to tell which ones the worm records while he's on the clock at his job. I'm going to tear down the fourth wall for a moment and explain how the sausage is made here.
What sausage?
9 out of 10 times, when I receive a new commercial from the worm, he just sends me audio of him talking. I add a bed of music, sometimes a sound effect or two, and when I'm really lucky, I get a speaking part. But I hear them raw dog first, just the worm talking directly into a voice note on his phone about various bodily fluids. And I'm starting to notice on some of them that I can hear him trying not to speak loud enough for anyone around him to hear. I feel like I know because I used to work with him at the same office, and in that office we had soundproof booths to have phone calls in. Those booths were never actually soundproof though, and if you spoke at a regular volume, people walking by the booth could hear what you're saying in the supposedly soundproof booth. It's a great layer to these that make me enjoy them even more. You listeners aren't the only ones squirming at the content created here. The worm and I are right there with you, but we have to do this. If not, we lose our minds. Sometimes in these raw ads, the worm is speaking loudly and in an almost boisterous volume, proud of himself and his new addition to the ever-expanding Vital Elements product line. But at other times, there is shame, and I feel like I can hear him trying to keep it down so no one knows he's not on a phone call, but recording something totally lewd for a fellow rude dude.
With attitude.
The office environment is only there to crush you, your creativity, and everything else in your life that has real meaning. I can say that for certain because I've spent my whole adult working life in the office. But the worm perseveres and does this very important work I beg him to do even when HR might be slinking through the office, waiting to trap the next poor victim into some new mandatory sexual harassment training.
I think there should be a holiday, for lack of a better word, harassment day, but all year. I say the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And it's a beautiful day, flowers and everything. You buy flowers, you just real cool, you walk up, you're respectful, you say, hey, how are you? You know, good afternoon, Terrell, happy harassment day. And you just like say, listen, I was wondering all year if you would suck my in a broom closet.
Can you imagine if HR eavesdropped on the worm recording one of these things? They'd probably lock him up in prison for life, like all the orcas should be. That's what us in the biz refer to as a callback. If you missed the highly engaging content I just referenced, please pull up episode 41 with McLean from Pelagos Fly Rods to hear my opinion on killer whales. Before I get off the topic of working in the office, I suppose you all deserve an update on how my interview at the office of the mayor's penis went. I already told you it didn't go well, and I foolishly thought that all of my related experience would make me a slam dunk hire. I mean, I used the word penis 47 times alone in the previous episode with my dude Ken Myers. None of that mattered though, because I made a big mistake. I spent $250 on new interview clothes and shoes to make sure I looked as professional as possible, and had all my dumb tattoos covered up. I studied the desired qualifications that the mayor's penis office listed in their job advertisement. I even brought notes to share about my previous jobs and how my time with them had prepared me to take on the open position. But for some reason, I thought it would be a good idea to have my own penis purposefully and proudly exposed through the fly of my new slacks when I showed up for the in-person interview.
Never do such a thing.
I'm sorry, but I thought the 44 years of having my own penis and proving how weathered it was would be a perfect way to break the ice. I was wrong, and I will be the first to admit it. I wish I could rewind time and tuck my junk in and zip up the fly and start over, but it's too late. I can't blame anyone but myself. In fact, I asked my dad and a few of my close friends if they thought it would be a good idea, and they all told me not to do it. But none of them had any office experience, and I thought I had a surprise ace in the hole. My great idea would make them remember me, and then I'd be asked back for a second interview with the deputy director of the Office of the Mayor's Penis, and soon enough I'd be hobnobbing with all of my new penile colleagues. Instead, they laughed at me for not being fully hard and said they were going to call the police due to my indecent exposure. I seized the opportunity to run away immediately while the tears of laughter in their eyes were still blurring their vision. And as you guys all know, I never use my real name for anything. So by the time I slammed the door on my Prius and hit the gas, I was in the clear. I hope the current staff at the Office of the Mayor's Penis had fun explaining that one to the cops.
You're under arrest, Nimrod.
My name's Mark, by the way, or Marty, and this is the Secret Society of Fly Tires podcast. I've barely introduced myself this season at all, and when I did, I told you to call me Little Corn Pudding. I feel like I rarely even mention the name of the show anymore. Am I supposed to do that as the host of a podcast? I'm many seasons deep now, okay? I doubt there's anyone new listening to this. It's just the same 200 dudes somewhere around my age that continue to enable this madness. You guys know what's going on, and if for some reason this is your first episode, just start going back in the archives and piece it together, okay? It will start making more sense eventually. My goal was never for this to be a show fueled by inside jokes. I'm not trying to start a clique. This is just what's happened, and even though I haven't released a single episode of Season 4 at the time that I'm writing this, I already have some ideas for Season 5. I think I'm going to stop booking guests and then trying to write the show around whatever topic we settle on and just pick things that I want to write about and then find a guest that wants to chat about that subject with me, whether they have any authority on the subject or not. That way, I can pick bodies of water that already have related weirdness and other stories attached to them, or fly patterns that I want to learn about, and maybe my guest will want to learn along with us. Please excuse this brief interruption from one of our many sponsors.
The other day I had diarrhea so intense and violent that I lost my voice. You might be wondering how diarrhea can cause one to lose their voice, but if you had diarrhea like I did, you'd understand. I was screaming and crying and throwing up in pain. There was so much pressure built up inside of me. The poop was so hot, it felt like I was spraying boiling oil out of my dumper. Then, when the hot slop hit the toilet water, it created a ton of steam which then burned my tender thighs and empty scrotal bag. My bag is empty because I donated my nards a few years ago. There is a charity that's like Locks of Love, but instead of donating your hair, you can donate your nards and peener. I kept my PP for now, but I'll probably donate it at some point. I don't like it or use it much, and now it's all burnt up from the diarrhea steam. The skin is flaking and peeling off, and it hurts and itches all the time. I can't sleep. I'm allergic to every known painkiller, so I just lie in bed weeping. Anyway, Vital Elements hooked me up with this incredible voice machine thing that I'm using now, and this is a commercial for that. It's called the Voice Rejoice, and you don't even have to type anything out to use it. You simply insert the wired suppository into your wet little anus, and it has special sensors that can tell what you're thinking by the way your colon quivers. It turns those vibrations into text, which is then read aloud by a voice of your choosing. There are a ton of different voices to pick from. I picked this one because I think it's really hot, so when I'm by myself, I make it say really adult, nude things, and it feels good. Come on, you all know what I'm talking about, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I highly recommend running to Ace Hardware and getting yourself one or more of the new Voice Rejoice units that Vital Elements has so kindly brought to market. You won't regret it. Also, if you or somebody you know wants to buy my penis, please contact the Secret Society of Fly Tires and we can arrange the sale. The more I think about it, the less I want this thing. I might as well get rid of it now if I can.
Sorry, let me put the fourth wall back up. I tore it down earlier and forgot to put it back in place. You all aren't supposed to know how all of the sausage is made, just a link or two here and there. Let me rein things in and write a little bit about my guest and the great fly patterns I mentioned at the top of the show. I haven't even mentioned that he's a spay casting instructor that you can hire. His website, spaylesson.com, is where you'll find all the info. Yes, of course, I'll put the link in the show notes. Jon's guiding career started in 1998. the year that I graduated high school, at Rainbow King Lodge in Alaska. That eventually led him to Colorado, where he spent 3 seasons at Elk Creek Lodge as a fly fishing and elk hunting guide. Off seasons were spent in southern Oregon, where he fell in love with the Rogue River, which is an easy river to fall in love with. Most notably was a year Jon spent residing in Gold Beach, where the lower Rogue and a spey rod came together in harmonic fashion. Over time, he developed a year-round program which included guide venues in Northern California during trout season, the upper and lower Rogue for steelhead and fall Chinook, and the coastal rivers and Applegate River for winter steelhead. Jon first picked up a spey rod in 1999. Since then, he has been dedicated to the craft of two-handed casting and angling. He's had the opportunity to teach hundreds of fly anglers the merits of two-handed casting through guiding, sage-endorsed clinics, private instruction, and regular appearances at the Sandy River Spey Clave. Most recently, he worked for 4 years at the Ashland Fly Shop under the title of Angler at Large, where he conducted classes, taught private instruction, wrote articles, and guided local waters. His time at the Ashland Fly Shop is something he's both very grateful and proud of. It's an awesome shop, by the way, and I've sent them lots of my money over the last few years. Together, they set out to entertain, educate, and inspire. Hopefully, they did more of that than offend, confuse, and discourage. Hey, that's how I feel about my show, kinda. At any rate, Jon says the Ashland Fly Shop deserves an award for letting him run amok for so long. Currently, Jon continues to guide local waters in the Rogue Valley, teach private instruction, and conduct classes. He resides in rural Medford with 2 kids and a wild cat. Like a lot of guides, there are some testimonials about Jon that he included on his website, and one stood out that I thought I'd share. The almighty Simon Gosworth at Rio had this to say about Jon. I've known Jon Hazlett for many years, having first met him at the annual Sandy River Spey Clave in Oregon more than 10 years ago. Back then, he was an enthusiastic, budding spey caster, full of passion to master this sport and eager to learn, listen, and put in his dues. Fast forward to 2018, when a lot of these dues have been paid, I've watched Jon progress to become an excellent spey caster, very accomplished in all the casts, and a highly talented instructor and demonstrator. Jon's explanations are clear, simple, and very easy to understand, and he has an incredible grasp of the skills and nuances of teaching. In addition, he is one of the most patient instructors I've ever met, and I would highly recommend him to anyone wishing to learn any of the spey casting techniques, whether a novice, an improver, or an advanced caster. You may not trust me, and rightfully so, but when it comes to spey casting and angling in general, you can trust Simon Gosworth. The flies Jon is probably most well known for are the Dirk Wiggler and the Deuce Wiggalo. The Dirk is a steelhead and salmon pattern, but other fish will eat it too. Just try messing around with the size and colors when you tie one to suit whatever you're chasing. It's comprised mostly of rubber legs, marabou, flash, and some dumbbell eyes, typically tied on a shank with a stinger hook behind it. If you look it up on YouTube or via one of the links in the show notes, you'll see folks using a lot of the usual steelheady color combos like black and blue and pink and purple, etc. It wiggles in the water while it swings, hence the name, you fool.
You know, just want a name. I want it so we can cut glass, you know, like razor sharp.
Razor sharp, right?
Yeah, well, when I close my eyes, I see this thing. It's like this big sign. And the name is in like bright blue neon lights with like purple outline. And this name is just so bright and so sharp that the sign, it just blows up because the name is just so powerful.
The Deuce Wiggalo is sort of the little brother to the Dirk, slightly smaller than its big bro and incorporating a rabbit strip, some crystal flash, and a saddle hackle feather, some dubbing, and a schlappen collar. Oh, and you can add a bead in the back too. Do you like swinging flies? Of course you do. Tie up a Dirk or a Deuce or both and throw them in the river. That's what we do, right? You know what else I do? Read about weird things on the internet. Like, did you know disgraced conspiracy theorist Alex Jones and comedian Bill Hicks are the same person?
The theory posits that Hicks, known for his anti-establishment views, reinvented himself as Jones to continue spreading his message through a different persona. Supporters argue that the timing of Hicks's reported death in 1994 and Jones's rise to prominence in the late 1990s aligns suspiciously well. They suggest that Hicks's purported transformation into Jones was orchestrated by powerful entities to control and direct public discourse.
I'm not going to get into that right now, and I'm only half joking. That is a real theory, and as ridiculous as it sounds, there's enough smoke there to keep me entertained, but not enough for me to try and convince you all that it's true. You can go down that rabbit hole if you want. When I started reading up about various Medford, Oregon area stories of high strangeness, I landed on something referred to as the Medford Schmooze. That isn't a local watering hole where you might find hot Medford singles, even though it sounds that way. This is a story about encounters or sightings with some type of, quote, inhuman creatures. I can't stop reading about this stuff, you guys, but I do feel like it's healthier than keeping up on the regular news. That only leads to depression, bewilderment, confusion, and fear. Let me read you all what I learned about the Medford Schmooze from paranormal-strange.fandom.com. A woman, her husband, and their 12-year-old daughter were driving at about 10 o'clock one night in the summer of 1953. The trio, who lived in the wooded outskirts of Medford, were on their way home. They had turned off Old Stage Road to Scenic Avenue when they noticed something strange moving along the side of the road. There, illuminated by the car's headlights, were three figures that appeared to be anything but human. The family stopped their car upon seeing them and watched in awe as the creatures, instead of walking as one would expect, seemed to glide across the road in front of them. It was at that moment that they were able to get a clear look at these enigmatic entities. They were white and shaped very much like geese, with a long neck and small head, but were unlike any bird. Instead of feathers, they were covered in a satiny white fur, probably craft fur. The creatures also were missing wings, arms, legs, or anything else that would appear to be an appendage. I won't make the obvious joke here because I already made so many penis jokes over the span of this season. The creatures were about 6 feet away from their car, and as the group looked, they noticed something else odd about these hairy goose monsters. As the trio looked at the creatures' heads, they noticed that they also lacked any sort of beak or muzzle or any other facial features. As the beings crossed the road, the family gauged that their size was about 4 feet high, with the last creature trailing behind being just slightly smaller than the other two. The family watched as the creatures moved into the surrounding woodlands and eventually continued their drive home. Upon returning home, the group discussed their sighting, and the family agreed that these shaggy, bowling pin-like beings very much resembled my friend Steve and the Shmoo characters from the Little Abner comics and associated stories, except that they were much larger and bore longer necks than the Shmoos of the comic world. The following day, they searched the area for any evidence of the creatures, but found nothing. And upon asking the neighbors on whether they had seen any strange creatures in the area, the group only managed to scare them and found that no one else in the area had seen the creatures. The family, after that, kept their encounter to themselves until they moved to Galt, California, and sent a letter to an organization called CUFOS in July of 1983. In the letter, the wife of the family sent both a sketch of the creatures, which appeared in the April-May edition of the 1984 CUFOS Associate Newsletter, and a map of the area where the creatures were seen, which CUFOS did not publish in the article. The sighting had such an effect that upon writing to CUFOS, the wife stated the following: "My daughter is 42 years old now and still remembers the incident plainly, but I've always wondered who or what they were and from where. I don't want to live in a world where geese might evolve into some kind of 4-foot faceless hybrid chimera. Let me put that on record. If the Shmoos are real and they have any relation to geese, I give whoever is listening out there that has the guts and the necessary equipment to sneak up behind me with a syringe full of poison and plunge it into my jugular. Wait, I have a better idea. You know how I've been kind of joking, but not really joking, and guilt-tripping you all to donate money to the show? I'm going to change it up this time and turn my guilt trip into a GoFundMe of sorts. I wrote a few episodes ago about my desire to lock up orcas for life. But what if I use all the funds you donate in an effort to kill every goose in the world? Donate your hard-earned money to me, Little Corn Pudding, the esteemed host of Secret Society of Fly Tires today, and you can count yourself as a contributor to the extinction of all the world's geese. And there's a lot of them, and they are mean as hell. So it's going to take a lot of donations, okay? Surf over to secretsocietyofFlyTires.com and send in your funds today. Don't feel ashamed that you're going to have blood on your hands. Be proud of your choice. It's not like we're all just going to let the carcasses go to waste. That would be inhumane and wrong. We'll distribute the meat. It's great. You can make pastrami out of it, and that alone will help families in need around the globe. As fly tires, we'll definitely use the feathers. We'll all have plentiful stashes of burnt goose feathers for spay hackle. That's all they have to offer, right? Meat and feathers? If I'm forgetting anything, don't worry. It will all be worked out by the many jobs created due to all the related processing required. Some lucky people will get to do the killing, and less lucky people will get to do the processing. But we can't have our cake and eat it too, right? Does that even make sense? Probably not, but I wanted to use the saying, okay? So anyways, that's my donation pitch today. No jokes about funny names of people who obviously haven't donated anything to the show this time. Just a plea to rally the troops and get rid of all geese for good. Every dollar donated ends the life of at least one goose. You can make a difference today. Okay, it's interview time. Jon rules. He's a spay casting whiz that you can hire to learn the basics or sharpen your skills or work out bad habits. You can hire him to go fishing on beautiful rivers all over the Pacific Northwest. You can tie his awesome patterns, the Dirk Wiggler and the Deuce Wiggalo. Fish will try and eat them, and then it's your job not to fuck it all up and lose them before they land in your net. I've praised him for the things that I've learned from him and the confidence he gave me early on without ever meeting me, and I've given you the general rundown of his most famous patterns. Now you get to eavesdrop on our conversation like some kind of angling peeping Tom. I hope you enjoy it.
Totally.
Good. Well, Jon, thanks. Big thank you for taking the time out of your day to chat with me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
I've had you on my list of folks I wanted to interview for a long time now, and I finally got around to sending you an invite. And kudos also on giving me a laugh when you logged in as Jon Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
It also gives me a little bit of PTSD from the 10 years I spent working in music, when that might have been a real call I would have had to take.
So, yeah.
Was never actually a client of mine, but would have been nice. I'll tell you that.
What part of the industry were you in?
I worked mostly on the web side of stuff, building websites for bands and running their fan clubs.
Oh, fun.
All sorts of different ones too, like all genres. There was
cool.
a short period of time where I was the online voice of Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, but that was a different life, and here we are on Zoom chatting about fishing.
So where do you live?
I'm in Sacramento.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're in Oregon, right? Where are you at?
Medford.
Cool.
Yeah.
How did you end up in Medford? Were you born and raised, or?
My first wife. It's common knowledge. She's from Southern Oregon. So, yeah, it was kind of a combination of that and fishing. But yeah, I've been down here like 25 years, man.
Nice.
Yeah.
For living in Northern California, I haven't spent enough time up there. I just fished the Rogue for the first time with some buddies. And what would you call your home water? There's so many awesome rivers
Yeah, it's
up
the
there.
Rogue. Yeah, totally.
Right on. Yeah, beautiful.
Totally.
Beautiful spot. I mean, I can't wait to go back. But
it's a great river. Yeah, I do a lot of days on it. Stand by. I got to turn this light off.
No problem.
There we go. How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
We're just doing audio, right? So
yeah, I don't release the video. That's too much work for me, man.
Right.
Gotta figure out my lane. It's probably more effort than people think to put one of these shows together. But video is a whole nother can of worms.
Oh yeah, I don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I got questions about that kind of stuff for you today.
Okay.
I mean, well, before I get over there, like when we were setting up this interview, you were in the midst of your coastal steelhead guiding season, right? Did you just wrap that up?
I did last week or the week before, last.
Yeah.
yeah, right at the end of the month.
How was it? I mean, I've heard great reports from other folks. Did you have a good season?
It was, I mean, as far as fishing the net, it was better than last year, maybe better than the year before. But I felt like there weren't as many fish around. But at the time, it was hard to tell because we had a lot of high water. So it was a weird season. A lot of high water, fighting that. We had some flurries of fish. My best week was the last week,
Oh yeah.
which is, you know, unusual. But yeah, but we had good water. So sometimes it's just about having the right water.
Yeah. I had a couple buddies that went out for a trip. It was probably like your second or last week, and now I can't remember what rivers they were on. They got one nice fish between the two of them on a 2 day trip, and I mean, I'm obsessed with steelhead, and it seems like there's always rivers on the coast that I've never heard of, like that are, I don't know if that's on purpose, like people are just tight-lipped about them, but like I've never
Yeah,
heard of any of the rivers he fished the last weekend or whatever it was.
yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I remember when I started poking around over there, man, you didn't talk about certain little creeks and rivers, and there's kind of the common knowledge ones,
Sure.
but there's some that you had to kind of earn, and you know, they were well kept secrets, and you know, and then all of a sudden you'd see guys you'd never seen before, and be like, oh shit,
Yeah, I mean, I host a
you know,
podcast and I'm often talking about rivers, and I try not to totally blow up spots, I don't try not to get super specific, but I talk about, sometimes a full episode about a river, and it's
yeah,
awesome. It's awesome to me. There's still coastal rivers that I haven't heard of, and I've been obsessively reading about it for years now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't earned those yet.
Well, I mean, you just drive up and down the coast and you drive over them all
Yeah.
eventually, and you think, oh, what's up there? And you drive up the road, and I mean, with today with Onyx maps, and it's it makes life pretty easy for scouting. I mean, I use them a lot for hunting, but yeah, just and they're all open. They're all open in the winter. Every little ditch.
Cool.
I mean, it's so yeah,
Yeah, it's tough I have two little kids and a full-time job and stuff, and it's tough for me to kind of take those like last second trips out to the coast at this point. It's like I always kind of have to plan in advance, and those are always a crapshoot. And
oh
those
sure, yeah,
so you know
yep,
I haven't done
yeah,
as much coastal fishing as I wish I could have by now, but it'll
yeah,
happen. It'll happen more as my kids get older and stuff, and
yeah,
they're able to
yeah.
come with me.
You're in striking distance of
Yeah.
some good water, and
Yeah.
one at a time. It's kind of figuring out the figuring out when to go where or where to go when, really, based off of water conditions. Those fine, like where I'm at in Southern Oregon, I'm on 4 different rivers. They all have different personalities as far as how quickly they come back into shape, and what flows you can fish them at. And so yeah, it's just you got your NorCal rivers, and which I don't know anything about. I don't fish any of them. I mean, I fished Smith over the years, but I've never, and I fished the Lower Klamath a little
I
bit,
was gonna
but
say
I've never really,
Klamath, probably, yeah.
I've never really gone down into the historic NorCal rivers and done anything.
Like mine, the Lower American River.
Hey, I heard there was one of my clients got a nice steelhead there. Was that last fall, maybe?
Oh yeah.
There's still fish swimming up that river.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
I'm constantly looking for them, and I never get them. But
What's
what's that?
what's your full-time job?
I work for the government.
Oh, you still have a job?
I do right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, good. What do you do?
Sending emails all day, sending meetings.
Did you have to send an email justifying what you did that week?
No, I'm not I'm state government.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing exciting. COVID kind of, I mentioned working in music before, and COVID kind of really squashed that and turned me in a different route. Music stopped completely. And the
Yeah.
company I worked for, as bread and butter, was not just building websites and stuff, but we were kind of facilitating meet and greet VIP situations and stuff like that, right? And not only were artists not on tour, they definitely weren't like shaking hands and kissing babies and stuff. Like it was
Right.
all different world. So, took some time off to figure out what I was going to do, and ended up picking something secure, right? At least
Yeah.
it seemed at the time.
No, I get it, man. You start having kids, and you're like, man, I gotta be around and
Yeah.
need some stability. I need some insurance and all that
All
stuff.
those all
But
those things.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I was fishing the American River this weekend, and it's like any metro river. You're just as you might come across a needle, the same amount of steelhead you see that day.
Sure.
Like that's just
Yeah.
kind of the way it goes. And
Yeah.
I've had horrible luck on my river, and I live like 15 minutes away from it. I fish it all the time, and probably fished it almost 10 years now, and have never got a nice adult steelhead on it. Plenty of
Hmm.
half pounders and smaller ones, but I've still been looking for the one. Like I'm cursed.
Well, now you put it out there. I mean, maybe you have a four, but you're gonna go get one your next time you go out.
Appreciate
You'll probably hook
appreciate it.
three.
You
You'll
think
probably
so?
hook three. Yeah.
I'll take
Usually how it
I'll
works.
take a big old sucker fish at this point, man. I don't get into a lot of fish on my river, but I travel and try and go to spots where they might have better luck. So
Yeah.
we're close to
Yeah.
a lot of stuff here, as you probably know. So
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Sure.
So how long have you been fishing with a two-handed rod? I feel like I watched videos of you teaching folks at least like 8 years ago. And so I'm assuming you've
Yeah.
been fishing in two-handed rod way longer than that.
Yeah, it's going on 25 years now. Yeah.
And
So,
how did
yeah.
that parlay into you doing spay casting instruction? Like I've heard it's hard to be certified. I've heard it's tough.
You know, when I started doing it down here, there was a few guys that did it, but there was no Ed Ward or George Cook or Jack Hogan or Simon Gosworth that lived in Southern Oregon. So I just kind of had to figure it out, and then kind of by default, even though I wasn't qualified to be an instructor and do classes, when I started doing them, I was maybe I wasn't the most qualified in Southern Oregon, but I was, a guy. I was a guy. I was available. I was willing. So I just kind of had to figure it out. And I think just kind of being forced to figure it out, it kind of helped me really think about it and make sense of it. I like to say I kind of had remote mentors. Like Osworth, I watched all his videos, back in the day, and there was some other Rio videos and read Simon's book, and got to know some guys when I started going to the Sandy River Spay Clave early on, and just kind of hung around guys there, and so I just tried to soak up as much as I could, and then regurgitate it, and try and help people do it. So.
Yeah, you were just at the Rogue Spay Clave too, right?
There was the Rogue on the Fly
Well, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
last
Yeah.
September.
Well, I saw you post something recently.
Oh, yeah. Well, so we're doing a Spay Clave.
Okay.
Me and my buddy Dax Messett. We were hosting one August 23rd
Oh, cool.
on the Rogue River.
So it hasn't happened yet.
Hasn't happened yet.
Right on.
But I will be at there's one in Alaska on the Kenai.
Sweet.
Which Mossy's Fly Shop puts on every year, and I'll be at that. That's first week of June. I'll do a presentation there, and then the Sandy River Spay Clave has been resurrected by Mia and Marty Shepard.
Yes, I've been seeing folks talking about it on.
Yeah. Historic event. Last year was 2019.
Oh, wow.
And so I'll be at that, and then the Rogue Spay Clave is in August. So got some good spay events coming up.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to make it up to one of those. I don't really have anything close. I mean, I guess there's one in the Bay Area. Anyway.
Yeah, I think well, Spay-O-Rama is like
right. Yeah.
Is that
at the casting ponds down there?
Is that this weekend?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it is.
It's soon, I think.
No.
Anyway, so yeah, we got some cool stuff coming up.
It's cool.
Sure.
So how many of your clients with spay casting instructions are like brand new compared to dudes that like want you to help them tune up? Like,
I would say 10% of them are brand new.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I still get a lot of new people, or they've done it maybe once or twice. It's like, oh, I did it for half a day in Alaska. My guy brought out a spey rod, and
I was expecting way more new, but I guess with the way things are, like we have YouTube, like you kind of teach yourself and like sometimes feel like you don't need to go pay a guide, you feel like you got it.
well, I think there's a lot of new casters. A lot of my clients are repeat clients, so they've obviously done it. But then every once in a while, someone will bring in a different fishing buddy, or I'll get a new client who's brand new, or something like that. Or I mean, somebody who's only done it 3 or 4 times, they're still brand new.
Yeah.
You know what I
Good
mean?
point. Yeah, yeah. And
So
I mean, speaking on resources, I mean, it's a way different playing field now. I mean, whether it's tying or casting or fishing or whatever related to it, like there's
yeah.
so many experts showing you how to do it on YouTube. Like, what would you say is the best reason to go out with somebody in person and and actually take a class?
Well, it's just you're actually doing it, and it's hard to retain and go to the river what you saw in a video, and like, oh wait, well, how'd that go again? And just to the because we all have our like progressions when we because there might be you're out there casting. I'm like, oh, there's 7 things we need to work on, right? Where am I going to start? You know, and being able to just break it down and having it make sense to the caster is huge.
Yes, I guess
It's huge.
stopping them like in the process, and pointing out things as they're
Yeah,
happening. Yeah.
totally. Yeah, yeah. Because I can do a video on one aspect of it or another aspect of it or how to do a C spay or a double spay or whatever. But okay, a guy goes out and practices, and if one thing's wrong, like the first thing that has to be right is anchor placement. Well, if that's not right, we've
Yes.
got really it's hard for those other pieces to fall into place. So being able to point out things like that is just that's it's huge, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then the subtleties of it, and you know, it, I'm a big hypocrite because I've never taken a golf lesson, but and go out and wonder why it doesn't all go so well. But yeah, having someone just watching
Yeah.
every piece of the puzzle.
Yeah,
It is a puzzle.
yeah, there was a couple of things that fit into place, like puzzle pieces, like you're saying. Like recently, I mean, I've probably been spade casting for like 5 years maybe, and was doing it mostly on my own. I took one lesson early on to try and get some basics down, and
Mm-hmm.
I definitely fell into a bunch of bad habits, and I ended up getting a new rod. I got a Miser. God, I'm forgetting the model now. But when I was talking to him to order it, he was telling me about how it forced you to use your bottom hand more, and
Mm.
that it wouldn't cast as well if I was top handing it. And it's totally true. And so it forced me into doing that better,
Mm-hmm.
I would say. And then and then I went out fishing on the road with some buddies, with my buddy Charlie, and he was telling me, like watching me, taking videos, showing me what I was doing wrong and stuff, and like snapped me into shape on a bunch of stuff. So yeah,
Oh, cool.
can attest to that and tinkering.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And it's usually really easy, little stuff, little adjustments. The hard part is there's 7 things or 5 things. You can't remember all 5 or 7 during the cast. We got to,
Yeah.
get one thing and then add and add and add and
Yeah.
repeat. And,
I don't know if you're a baseball guy or not, but it's like when you step into the plate and you have all these things before you get up there, but when you're in the box, it kind of goes out the window and you just start hacking, sometimes.
100%. It's yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a little more pressure when you step up to the plate, guys thrown at you.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I archery hunt, and if it's not just instinctual, shooting the bow, you can't think about, everything's out the window at that point when you got a big game animal in front of you. If you're either going to make a good shot or you're not.
Yeah, I hear that.
And because there's just all that pressure, you know. But luckily, there's really no pressure when we're spay casting.
Just our own. Or if somebody's watching and you don't want to look like a fool, you know.
Well, I know it's funny because I'm pretty easygoing, and I don't think I'm like a intimidating kind of person. And sometimes guys will just crumble when I walk up to them.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
They're doing great, and I'll come down to say, "Hey, you're doing great," and then they'll just fall to pieces,
just
and I'm
blow
like,
yeah.
"Well, you're doing great till I showed up."
Well, I mentioned to you while we were booking this interview that your video on a double spay was one of the first spay casting videos that I watched with any kind of purpose, like wanting to do it right. And it was really intimidating for me to step into spay casting initially. I had just started getting comfortable with the single hand rod, and your videos were simple and explained things in terms that like made sense to me. And they were funny sometimes, which was a nice difference from like a lot of the dry fly fishing instructional videos out there. And it seemed like you were like releasing all kinds of videos through Ashland Fly Shop for a number of years, whether it was spay fishing with John or Taiwan on or the interview series and a bunch of other stuff. Like, did you consciously stop making those to focus on other stuff?
Well, when I worked there, we had in-house, talent.
Oh yeah. People knew how to edit stuff and everything like that.
Yeah.
Too? Oh yeah.
So it was all in-house. And so, I mean, you know how much this stuff costs.
Yeah, it takes time, effort,
and time. Yeah. And so that's not something. I mean, I did some video or rod reviews recently. I self filmed them, but that was, iPhone with really no editing. But I don't do that stuff. So we had a couple guys in the shop, Chris Myron and Marcus Mattioli, who were really talented with camera and editing, and so and the owner of the shop, Will Johnson, he was real supportive of it, and there was a time where we were doing a lot, and it takes time for that stuff to kind of pay off, right?
Yeah.
To build the audience and turn that into dollars for the shop. And
yeah,
there was a time where there was a little frustration. We were having too much fun.
Yeah.
But then it started to pay, and he built a good audience. So I would love to do more. It's just I think I've really done one. I did a trout spay film a couple of years ago that was self-financed, but yeah, I would love to do more. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a perfect storm, I guess, because you do need a bunch of peripheral people to get that stuff looking good and
totally.
Yeah.
So it was fun. They did kind of try to rein us in once in a while.
Yeah, imagine turning content into dollars. That's a fucking crazy scenario that I don't think I'll ever actualize.
Yeah.
I know I'm going back a ways and sticking on these videos, but I got to ask if you had anything to do with the Keith Freestone character that pops up in a fake the fake commercial in the middle of your Jerry French interview.
Oh yeah. I wrote all that stuff.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. All the commercials. Those were the funnest ones.
Oh, dude, near and dear to my heart. I don't know if you've listened to my podcast yet, but the fake commercials is a large part of it. I have a ton of fake sponsors. And it's
I love it.
What keeps me going, really.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I will admit I haven't listened to any yet.
I don't hold it against you, man.
Well, it's like when the guy's interviewing a guy who wrote a book, and you're supposed to have read the book already. And
that's what I got to do. I got to do the research. You're the subject. You don't need to do the research. And in fact, I like going into these without them hearing my show. It's like doing a job interview with like somebody you know already, and like they know that when you're BSing, like if you don't know those folks, you can say whatever you want, and they don't know any different.
Totally. Yeah. I don't even know if we've started this interview yet.
We did long ago. Yeah.
There was not a ready, set, go. We've just been BSing.
I know. And you still haven't turned off your interviewer in you because you've interviewed me a little bit in this too, which I like. I like people asking me questions too. It's always me. Like who out of all the folks that you've interviewed, like who was your favorite interview?
Oh man, well, gosh, it's hard to pick favorites here. But I remember Jerry French was a great interview.
It was good. Yeah.
We got talking about fly size and color. And, I love the history of the big fly, revolution that I don't know if we're still in it.
Yeah, that's all I like to
It's
tie.
all the norm,
Yeah.
right? It's all the norm now. But there were some good insights. I remember the one thing I remember is he liked the color white and off-color water and dirty water.
It's not the first time I've heard that from like a guru.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Which is counterintuitive, I guess.
I never want to tie white stuff when I'm at the bench. Like it's never what I'm looking to do.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, there was, George Cook's always a fun interview. And I've known George for a long time, so that's a pretty easy one. But yeah, that was a fun series. That was fun.
Yeah,
that was kind of towards the end of my tenure at the shop, but that would have been a fun one to keep rolling. Yeah.
Interviewing folks isn't easy. I think that also looks easy for folks who don't do it, and I think you did a great job. You're a great host, and all those interviews, they're all really good. I'll link to them all in the show notes, like a good host would, and so everybody can watch them. Speaking of big flies, you're the two that you're probably most known for, as far as I know, the Dirk Wiggler and the Deuce Wigelow, right?
Well, that's the only two I got.
Is it the only two? I was going to ask if you had other ones because I'm familiar.
I played around with some other stuff, but that's kind of that's it. Yeah.
Well, I know you've probably told it before, but I'd love to hear the origin story. Like, how do you come up with the Dirk come before the Deuce, right?
It did. It did. The Dirk Wiggler. And funny story when that became a production fly, my mom, the pastor's wife, I'm a pastor's kid. My mom was really proud, and she's like, well, what's it called? And I said, the Dirk Wiggler. And she's just like, oh, son.
She had seen Boogie Nights and knew the reference.
Not seen Boogie Nights.
Okay, good.
No. So the Dirk Wiggler, well, the first actual intruder I'd ever seen, and let's just get this straight: the Dirk Wiggler and the Deuce are not intruders. But the first one I ever saw was Mike McCune. I was actually working in a different fly shop in Ashland in like 2002. There was an Ashland outdoor store and had a fly shop in it. And I'd met Mike previous to that, Mike McCune. So I had him come down and do a spay clinic. He stayed with me, and he opened some fly boxes and showed me these gigantor flies. And he's like, these are intruders.
Yeah, they were even bigger originally, like than what we're fishing now. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some big ones, and so, he gave Edward a lot of credit, and he brought me some materials which were turkey flats that he had dyed.
Intruder prop, yeah.
And so I tied some, really probably pretty awful looking intruder type flies with turkey flats. And then I want to come up with something. I want to come up with something semi-original here, single stage fly. And I'd seen those, bass things. What are those things called?
Those like ugly jig looking things?
Yeah. All the gear dudes are listening. I think I'm an idiot here right now. The ones with the hula skirts on them, right?
Yeah. Tons of rubber legs. Yeah.
Yeah, with a bunch of rubber legs.
I can't remember what they're called either.
Yeah. Anyway, if I could do something like that in a fly, but not make it look too fake, that'd swim really good. So I just started experimenting with it, and I use flex floss. It kind of has a more natural sheen to it. It doesn't look like too rubbery. And so I started playing around with that, and the first one I tied was the olive version of it. And swam good, and then I just started tying more. And then
you get a fish on it quick?
I don't remember.
Mm.
I can't remember. I'm never good. We all that friend who's like, remember when we were in third grade, little league? It was the seventh inning. We were playing, blah blah. And I was up to bat. I know I don't remember any of that.
No.
So anyway, yeah, I did that fly, and I still, if there's one that I tie and fish today, it's that one. And then the deuce, I did that later, and I wanted something that was kind of had more of a prawnish profile, and so I started experimenting with that. And I think the first colors I tied that in were more prawny, and I did that fly, and then at the time George Cook was the Solitude rep for the Solitude Fly Company, and we submitted them, and off we went. But
Nice.
yeah.
So what happens? Like, what happens when you have two patterns like that available in catalogs and stuff? Like, is it residual? Like, a band gets paid for a song? Like, what's
Totally?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a quarterly check. And it's not very much, but it's always this nice surprise when it comes in the mail.
Free money, right? Yeah.
And then I get a 1099 at the end of the year.
That's what I get. I have a very small checks from playing music long ago. That it's
cool.
Same thing, man. It's like, oh my God, I just got $60. You're like, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Then you got to do
awesome.
You got to file the taxes on them, all that nonsense. I was gonna ask you if you still fish them. I feel like a lot of the times dudes come up with these patterns and then it turns into a thing like a band with their favorite song or the hit song, and they don't want to fucking use it or play it ever again, and they just use whatever else. But it sounds like you still fish them.
I do. Yeah. I tie it's I guess like any song. There's the studio version, and the more you play it, you might tweak little things here and there, right?
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah.
And so I don't tie it the same way I used to tie it. It's a little different. It still looks the same in the water, but So yeah, if I'm going to get excited and sit down and tie for steelhead, it's going to be that fly.
Yeah. Have you tied those on tubes?
No, no. I personally don't like tying on tubes.
Oh yeah, why not? Do you not like fishing tubes either, or?
I like fishing tubes.
You just don't like tying on them, yeah.
A fly, now the Dirk Wiggler doesn't have a top or a bottom, right? Whatever angle you look at it, it's the same fly.
Mm-hmm.
So it would work fine on a tube.
Yeah.
The Deuce has a top and bottom, and I think it's an aesthetic thing for me when I have I'll just flies I fish on a tube or ones I either have tied for me or I buy. And it's usually a pretty simple marabou type fly, which are great dude flies. I fish them a ton in the winter. I can add worm weights or not.
Yeah.
Always easy to swap the hook out. All those benefits of fishing a tube.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like the way the body looks on a shank, the way the lead eyes sit on it. I just like tying on them better.
Yeah. The little things matter, right? Like some flies, like if you don't do it with the return eye shank, it looks all weird. Even just the little details matter. But now you're making me want to tie one of those on a tube, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna send it to you, and whether you like it or not.
Sweet. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
So while we're talking about steelhead flies, I always like to ask my guests, like, what are four or five flies that you would always have in your box out steelhead?
Well, I remember a long time ago, Mike McCune told me, these intruders are really cool, but when it comes right down to it, you can't beat a bunny strip. And so I fish a lot of bunny leeches, some of which are on a tube, most of which are on a tube, actually. Real basic bunny leeches. I mean, there's different patterns out there, but
Yeah, I fished a ton of those too. Usually a graboid leech, the farmer pattern.
Yeah. I mean, and then just basic marabou tubes. I'll fish in the winter a bunch. You know, you got a couple turns of a couple different colors and some flash and
Like a hobo spay, maybe something like that.
I do like hobos. Yeah, yeah. I fish a lot if I, you know, because I don't tie enough to, you know, keep up with the flies I need for guiding, so I buy a bunch. This has the mini intruders, Stu's mini intruders. That's a nice size, and they're well tied. So I'll fish out all of one a bunch here on the Rogue.
Cool.
And then I'll fish some of the other colors in either on the Rogue and the, you know, and I'm speaking more of the all of one in the summer, fall. And then I'll fish some of the other flavors of that pattern year round, really.
Yeah.
That's a nice size fly. Let's see, I haven't come up with 4 yet. You know, it's a great fly is the Perpetrator.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that one.
Matt Callies. Yeah, Matt Callies says you should. He's a good tire. He's a loon guy.
I should.
He came up with the Perpetrator as a trout fly. And it's basically like a big soft tackle with a bead head.
Okay.
That has a little stinger hook on it. And when I was at the auction shop, we had some tied a little bigger for steelhead. And so we had them tied in the size that's they're about 1.25 inches long, maybe.
Yeah.
Perfect October caddis size. They're just buggy. You can tie them in different colors. Real simple fly, but that's a good fly. I've got winter steelhead on them too when the water's low and clear.
Made a note to look that one up.
The Perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
It's buggy. You can fish it off a Scandi line. You can fish it off a tip.
Cool.
Or anything in between. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. There's 4. That was 4. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot the Dirk Wiggler. That's right. That one.
You got to put your own in there. Come on.
That one's for special occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Man,
those are all bread and butters, though.
Nice. Those are all great. Yeah. I mean, not far off from my own choices. I just got to look up the Perpetrator.
Yeah. Yeah. Good one.
You know, I forgot to ask you: do you instruct casting Skagit lines and Scandi lines? Either one?
Oh yeah.
Just whatever they want to learn.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yep.
I meant to ask you too, like what a day is like. Like what's a class like with you? Do you do it on a certain river? Do you go to the park? Like what do you do?
If it's a class setting, there's typically, well, we go to a park, whatever, if it's on the road, there's certain places I like to go. But every class has, if there's 6 people in the class, there's 3 that are brand new, 2 that have been doing it a little while. And then there's, 1 that's done it a long time, but he wants to learn the snake roll so there's it's never a level playing field, which is the challenge of a class.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So you really have to kind of make it work for everybody. But I usually start with, what is a spay cast? And I'll show you what a roll cast. Show you a roll cast. We'll talk about the parts and how it's, similar but different from a spay cast, and anchor, D-loop, forward cast, and we'll kind of go through that, and then we'll start with a cast. Whether it's double spay or a C spay or snap T, and just kind of go from there. And then, you just one of those things you got to feel it out. Okay, yeah, I think we've done enough of this. Let's move on to the next thing. So, and you hope by the end of it, everyone's doing good, and there's, it's interesting. It's like any sport. I mean, spay casting it's an athletic endeavor.
Yeah, it takes rhythm.
Really
it takes rhythm too. There's a bunch of different things that come into play.
It does. It's there's a tempo timing. There's eye-hand coordination and coachability is a big part of it too. Like I usually ask guys if they're new, did you play sports in high school? What'd you play? Do you golf? Do you stay active?
Mm.
And those are usually the people that do well spay casting.
Yeah, they have some hand-eye coordination already worked out. They know. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot. I kind of feel like there's like a lot of sports. There's kind of three main components or whatever. Like there's tempo timing, which are kind of similar. There's power application, when, where, how much power to apply, and then there's the actual stroke itself, the technique part, what you do with your hands, and
Well,
all that stuff.
everything that you're saying is just proving that spaycasters are the coolest, most talented, well-rounded people out there, right? We got the most rhythm and the athleticism.
I mean, I don't know. It might be a stretch.
Okay, man. John, I have one more question for you, and I
All right.
and I ask everybody who's on my show, and sometimes this opens up this can of worms.
Good.
And sometimes it goes nowhere. But have you ever had a paranormal experience?
While casting?
Anytime.
No, I've never had a paranormal experience.
Nothing weird?
I don't think so.
See what I mean? Sometimes it goes absolutely nowhere.
I
thought all you Oregon folks had Bigfoot stories.
Man, I haven't. I had two cats fighting on my porch last night.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Supernatural, pretty supernatural.
Yeah, and they weren't even my cats.
Maybe they weren't cats at all.
I mean, I do hear some weird noises. I'm looking up into the woods right now. There's all kinds of critters back here, and I do hear some weird sounds at night.
I saw a weird ass cat this morning, but it was a possum.
Oh, well, we don't have many possums here. We got a lot of coons. Got a lot of coons. Trash pandas.
Well, man, usually if I ask that question, sometimes I get a ghost story, sometimes I get a UFO story, sometimes I get found a lot of guides and anglers find dead bodies too. You get a lot of dead body stories.
I found a dead bear one time on the river. And
no way, that's pretty wild.
Yanked its teeth out.
Did you really? No shit. Yeah.
I was fishing with Ken Morris, if you know who Ken is. We were wading down a bank. And I'm like, dude, check this out. And yeah, it was a mature bear. Had been there for a while, and so we yanked its fangs out of its jaw. We each took two.
Did some dental work in the field.
We did some dental work.
You all had nice pliers on you, I'm sure. We're able to get it.
Oh yeah.
That's a weird story. I wouldn't call it supernatural.
No, it wasn't. No, definitely not.
Kind of, I don't know. I like hearing that story better than hearing a dead body story, like a dead human.
Yeah, I've never come up. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm good with that.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't want it to happen, but.
Yeah. No, I've got guide buddies who've seen the Squatch.
Oh yeah? Like they have you trust them.
But I do, both these guys.
Believe them, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. So
like close encounters that they've told you? I'm sorry, I love this.
Close
stuff.
enough. Yeah, close enough. One he saw wade across the river.
No shit, yeah.
He was in some remote NorCal river. And the other guy was out camping in the John Day area.
Okay, yeah.
And had some things happen at night.
Wading across the river, that is a straight up like you saw something close enough to know what you're looking at. That's a good one.
It was just in a spot. He's like, no human could have waded the kind of spot. I mean, just, yeah. Yeah. But I haven't seen anything. I'm always looking. I never even see cougars. I'm in the woods all the time.
Man, that's what I don't want to see right there. Give me Bigfoot. I don't want a cougar.
But I watch all those Bigfoot shows. It's like, they're not going to find one, but you just hope that maybe that's the episode that they do.
You see, I'm one of the guys that thinks that it's not something. I think it's way weirder than like a missing link or something. I think it's like something totally supernatural. And I do believe, I think it's out there. I just don't know what it is. It's too many cultures have that are all over the world have, significant mythology about it.
Undoubtedly.
So,
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
there's more to it that we don't know.
Your buddy saw something weird.
He did.
Maybe.
I mean, I feel like a lot of times winter steelhead fishing were Bigfoot hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get neither. So
I feel like there's some days we're more likely to see Bigfoot.
It's true,
than
right?
catch a winter steelhead.
Man, John, it's been a pleasure, my dude. I mean, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. I'm filling up season 4 with some great guests. You're
awesome.
And, you're a nice icing on the cake. I'm almost done putting together the new season, and I got a mountain of work in front of me that I have to do to make it so.
That's great. That's cool, man. I'm stoked for you. Well, I'm going to have to go back and listen.
Please listen to one of the shows. Many guests come before you. April Vokey, Jonathan Farmer, Jim Sens, Rob Beckius. I think he's up from near you too, right? Two-hand harbor.
Rob. Yeah, he's awesome.
All kinds of dudes that you probably already know, and about content that you've already learned. But I try to be silly about it and keep it entertaining. So if you check it out and you dig it, let me know.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, dude, and I'll keep in touch with you. It takes me a while to put these together, but I'm gonna try and get this out before your August Spake Link
23rd.
thing. So hopefully I can plug that and it be timely, and I'll link to all your stuff, your spake casting instruction website and all that stuff in the show notes, so people can hire you and brush up on their skills or learn new ones. And if I'm up in the area, I am gonna bug you and try and get you to come out and have a drink with me.
That sounds awesome. Hey, appreciate you, bud.
Cool, man.
Fun.
Take care.
Okay.
Thank you, John. You didn't need to do any promo, and you certainly didn't need to waste your time with little old me, but I really appreciate it, and I had a great time chatting with you. Hopefully, I end up in Southern Oregon before too long, and I can meet you in person and buy you a drink. I have already confessed previously about not fishing enough in Oregon, seeing as how I'm not that far away living here in Northern California. Hopefully I get up there this fall, and I'll start bugging John and all the other Oregonian guests that I've had the privilege of interviewing. I really want to physically shop at the Ashland Fly Shop too. They always have what I need and what I want, and are one of the 3 or 4 shops that I regularly order tying supplies from. Pretty much them, Farmer's Midnight Sun Custom Flies, and the Caddis Fly Shop are where I order from if my local shop, Fly Fishing Specialties, doesn't already have what I'm looking for. When I'm not looking for fly tying materials, I'm looking for UFO or UAP news. And since we've reached the end of this episode, it's time for me to share some content from others that I've been enjoying. I am a proud member of the UFO community, as lame as that might sound. And although I am currently quick to disregard any talk of space aliens piloting flying saucers and only pay attention to UFO stories that somehow intertwine spirituality or the occult or Enochian magic, I love what UAP GERB is doing these days. UAP GERB facilitates a YouTube channel and is putting together independent research into some really awesome documentaries. I learned about him through American Alchemy, which was one of my previous recommendations, and now I can't get enough. He even has a Patreon, and I don't know what else he could share there that isn't already available on his free and open YouTube channel, but I'll bet it's good and worth every penny, because the free content he creates is top-notch. Once I reach the end of his free content, I may just have to sign up for a Patreon for the first time in my life. Here's the explanation on his channel, providing documentaries, commentary, investigations, and engaging content to understand the complexities and hidden truths of the UFO phenomenon. With a specialty in UFO reverse engineering / crash retrieval research, UFO legacy program investigation, and UFO whistleblower analysis. The UFO legacy program stuff is super interesting, as he gets into the weeds on private corporations that seem to have had a hand in the overall cover-up of found or developed exotic technology. He also focuses heavily on crash retrieval, which has also been a hot topic in 2025, with the infamous helicopter picking up an egg-shaped UAP in the grainy video being leaked to mainstream media. Overall, he strips away a lot of the BS for you and does fantastic independent research. When will he interview Tim Taylor? When will anyone interview Tim Taylor? Not the Tool Man, the character referred to as Tyler in Diana Pasulka's book American Cosmic. In my opinion, he is probably the most interesting character that has ever existed in the tangled web of the UFO world, and no one seems to be able to get to him. I hope that changes someday, and UAP Gerb gets to ask him all the burning questions. Some of my favorite videos he's produced so far are his 90-minute doc on Philip J. Corso, the author of The Day After Roswell, his video on deep underground military bases, his deep dive on the TR-3B craft of flying black triangles, his 20-minute video on Dr. Robert Sarbacher, and he did a 20-minute video on maybe my favorite UFO footage ever, what's referred to as the Metapod footage. I am kind of mad at myself for being late to the party on this one in the same way I was late to the party on listening to Tom Waits. I love Tom Waits, and I love UAP Gerb. Don't be a fool like me. If you haven't landed on UAP Gerb's YouTube channel yet, hurry up and get to my show notes so you can catch up. Now you have a bunch of cool documentaries to watch. You're welcome. That's it. Show's over. I'm turning my computer off now. I'll see you in the next episode.
Smoke weed every day.
Introducing the Earth's most breathable condoms. From the hyper-intelligent, erotic freaks at Vital Elements comes the condom you've been waiting all your life for. That's right, baby. Vital Elements now makes condoms, but not just any condoms. These condoms are loose, baggy, breathable, and as comfortable as your favorite t-shirt. You might think that condoms need to fit snugly to work properly, and you're right, but that doesn't mean that you can't wear a condom as part of your outfit. Vital Elements condoms are not designed to prevent pregnancy or the spread of sexually transmitted infections. Instead, they were designed with fashion and comfort in mind. These stylish wiener cloaks are inspired by today's most popular skateboarding and streetwear brands. They're baggy and pleated, and they're made from a loosely woven mesh to ensure your long, greasy hog stays as cool as it looks. If you drop trow in front of a loved one and they see you wearing a Vital Elements condom, they'll be impressed and aroused and wet and hard all at the same time. Once they come to their senses, they'll ask you where you got such an effortlessly stylish rod holster, and you can look them in their eyes, spit a large black mouthful of chewing tobacco right in their face, and tell them that you only get your fashion condoms from Vital Elements.
Please note that this is not a real advertisement, and the company, brand, entity, or product mentioned in the preceding ad in no way endorses, agrees with, or knows about this podcast.